Every Android phone on the planet has a hidden settings menu that can make it run 2 to 3 times faster. Every Samsung, every Xiaomi, every Motorola, every Google Pixel, every OnePlus sitting in your pocket right now contains this menu. It does not require downloading anything. It does not require paying anyone. It does not require rooting, hacking, or voiding your warranty. It takes 30 seconds to activate, and the results are instantaneous. Until 2012, this menu was visible to everyone in the normal settings screen. Then Google deliberately hid it behind a secret activation sequence that no average consumer would ever discover on their own. They buried it under 7 taps on a line of code that no one reads. They locked it away inside a submenu that does not appear until you perform a ritual that sounds like a joke. Tap on the build number 7 times, not because the menu was dangerous, not because it was experimental, because a phone that feels fast is a phone that does not get replaced, and a phone that does not get replaced is a phone that does not generate revenue for a $500 billion industry. The global smartphone market was valued at over $520 billion in 2024. That entire economic engine depends on one behavior from the consumer, upgrading every 2 to 3 years. And the number one reason people upgrade their phone is not a cracked screen, not a broken camera, not a missing feature. It is because their phone feels slow. This is the story of the menu that makes your phone feel new again, and why the biggest technology companies in the world made sure you would never find it. Welcome to Forbidden Camping. If you are not subscribed yet, hit subscribe and the bell. This is where we dig up what the industry buried. To understand why this menu exists and why it was hidden, you need to go back to 2008. That year, Google releases the first commercial version of Android on the HTC Dream, a device with a physical keyboard and a screen the size of a playing card. The operating system is raw, unstable, and clearly built by engineers for engineers. The settings screen is a maze of technical toggles, diagnostic tools, and developer utilities that no ordinary consumer would ever touch. Among these tools is a menu called Developer Options. Inside it, buried under dozens of toggles, sit 3 settings that control how fast the phone feels when you open an app, switch between screens, or scroll through a menu. These 3 settings are called Window Animation Scale, Transition Animation Scale, and Animator Duration Scale. By default, all 3 are set to 1x, which means every time you open an app, close an app, or switch between apps, your phone plays a decorative animation that lasts roughly 300 milliseconds. 300 milliseconds does not sound like much, but multiply that by every single interaction you have with your phone every day for years. Opening your email, animation, 300 milliseconds, switching to your browser, another animation, going back home, another animation. Across a full day of normal use, those animations add up to minutes of waiting for visual decoration that serves 0 functional purpose. Now here's what happens when you change those 3 settings from 1x to 0.5x or turn them off entirely. The phone does not process information any faster. The processor is identical, the memory is identical, the storage speed is identical. But every single transition happens instantly instead of waiting for a decorative animation to finish playing. The effect is dramatic. It is like removing a speed limit of 30 kilometers per hour from a highway that was built for 120. The road did not change. The artificial restriction changed. For 4 years, from 2008 to 2012, this menu was visible in the standard settings screen. Any consumer who stumbled into it could find it and change it. Then in late 2012, Google releases Android 4.2, codenamed Jelly Bean. And in that update, without any announcement, without any explanation in the changelog, Developer Options disappears from the settings menu entirely. The only way to bring it back is to navigate to Settings, then About Phone, and then tap on the build number entry exactly 7 times. A hidden message appears on screen that reads, "You are now a developer." The menu reappears. Google's official explanation was simple and reasonable on the surface. The menu is intended for developers, not regular users. But that explanation collapses under one question. If the menu is only for developers, why does it contain settings that dramatically improve the experience for every single user? This video is just the tip of what the industry buried. I have collected everything they do not want you to know about your own device, all in the complete Forbidden Camping vault. The hidden menu activation manual, a visual walkthrough for every Android brand showing exactly where to find and enable developer options on Samsung, Xiaomi, Motorola, Pixel, and OnePlus. The animation kill switch protocol, the exact settings to change, and the exact values to use for maximum speed without sacrificing usability. The background process purge guide, how to identify and shut down the invisible apps draining your battery and memory every single hour. The bloatware elimination checklist, a brand-by-brand list of every pre-installed app that is safe to disable or remove without breaking your phone. The battery lifespan extension dossier, 7 proven techniques to extend your battery health by up to 2 years beyond the manufacturer's planned obsolescence timeline. And the GPU Rendering Unlock Blueprint, how to force your graphics processor to handle the entire interface for smoother scrolling and faster menus. More than 10 guides in one place, no fluff, straight to the point. The link is in the description, but stay here. The video is just getting started. Now let us look at the science, because the data behind this is what turns suspicion into certainty. The default animation speed on every Android phone is set to 1x, which means roughly 300 milliseconds per transition. A study referenced by Android Authority found that reducing this to 0.5x makes the phone feel between 50 and 100% faster during common tasks like opening apps, switching screens, and navigating menus. The phone is not actually faster, the processor clock speed is identical before and after the change. What changes is the perceived speed, the amount of time the user spends waiting for decorative transitions to finish before they can interact with the next screen. This distinction is critical because it reveals the design philosophy behind the default setting. Google did not set the animation speed to 1x because it is optimal for the user. They set it to 1x because slower animations make the interface look polished, cinematic, and premium during the first few minutes in a store. The phone that looks smoothest in the display case is the phone that sells. The phone that feels fastest after 6 months of daily use is a different engineering problem entirely, and it is not the one they optimized for. Now consider background processes. Every Android phone runs dozens of applications in the background that the owner never opened and never asked to run. A 2023 investigation by Android Authority found that Samsung devices ship with an average of 47 pre-installed applications compared to just 12 on Google's own Pixel phones. Of Samsung's 47 pre-installed apps, nearly 20 were non-removable and actively running background services consuming memory and battery continuously. Every single one of those invisible apps fights for a share of your phone's limited memory. And when there is not enough memory left for the app you actually want to use, your phone stutters, freezes, and feels old. That is not a hardware failure. That is a software architecture designed to prioritize the manufacturer's ecosystem over your experience. If you have made it this far, you already know more about your own phone than 99% of the people carrying one right now. Subscribe and share this with someone who deserves to know what they have been paying for. And remember, everything the industry buried is in the complete vault. Link in the description. Now stay with me. The next vault is the heaviest. So why do Google, Samsung, Xiaomi, and every major manufacturer hide these settings from their own customers? The answer is not complicated. It is mathematical. The global smartphone market generated over $520 billion in revenue in 2024 alone. That revenue depends on one single consumer behavior, replacing your phone every 2 to 3 years. Research published in 2025 found that the global average replacement cycle has stretched to roughly 3.5 years, but manufacturers are fighting hard to shrink it back. And what is the number one reason consumers say they replace their phone? 75% cite battery degradation and perceive slowness as their primary motivation for upgrading. Not a cracked screen, not a missing feature, not a desire for a better camera. They replace it because it feels slow. Now think about what you just learned. The animations that make your phone feel sluggish can be reduced or eliminated in 30 seconds. The background processes that drain your battery and consume your memory can be limited with a single toggle. The bloatware that Samsung, Xiaomi, and Google pre-install on every device can be disabled without voiding your warranty. If every consumer on the planet knew how to activate developer options and change 3 settings, the perceived lifespan of their phone would extend by 1 to 2 years, 1 to 2 additional years before they walk into a store and spend $700 on a replacement. Multiply that by over 1 billion smartphones sold every year and you begin to understand why this menu was hidden. Samsung specifically has built an entire ecosystem designed to keep background services running. Bixby, Samsung Free, Samsung Pay, Galaxy Store, Samsung Members, Samsung Health, Game Launcher, AR Zone, each application consuming memory whether you use it or not. One documented Samsung Galaxy Note device shipped with over 130 pre-installed applications straight out of the box. Over 130 apps running in the background of a phone the consumer just bought, fighting for a share of memory that the consumer paid for. You cannot patent a settings change that already exists in the operating system. You cannot sell a premium upgrade for a toggle that is already inside the phone. You cannot create dependency when the consumer knows how to optimize their own device. The entire upgrade cycle model depends on the consumer believing their phone is dying when it is actually being strangled by decorative animations and invisible background processes. Developer Options represents everything that model fights against. It is free, it is already installed, and it requires no purchase, so it had to be hidden. B. Buried behind a ritual that no reasonable consumer would ever discover by accident, here's exactly what to do. Step 1, open your Settings app from the home screen or the app drawer. Step 2, scroll down and tap About Phone. On some devices, this is inside the system submenu first. Step 3, find the entry called Build Number and tap on it exactly 7 times in a row. A message will appear on your screen that says you are now a developer. If your phone asks for your PIN or password, enter it and continue tapping. Step 4, go back to the main settings screen, then tap System, then tap Developer Options, which has now appeared as a new menu entry. Step 5, scroll down until you find a section labeled Drawing. Step 6, tap Window Animation Scale and change it from 1x to 0.5x, or select Animation Off for maximum speed. Step 7, tap Transition Animation Scale and make the same change. Step 8, tap Animator Duration Scale and make the same change. The effect is immediate and requires no restart. Step 9, this one is optional but powerful. Scroll to the background process limit setting and change it from standard limit to at most 4 processes. This forces your phone to keep a maximum of 4 apps running in the background instead of dozens. Step 10, also optional, find Force GPU rendering and enable it. This forces your phone's graphics processor to handle the entire user interface, resulting in smoother scrolling and more responsive menus. The total time for all 10 steps is approximately 30 seconds. The total cost is $0. Every change is fully reversible at any time. I need to be honest with you about 2 things. First, some banking applications have started detecting when developer options is enabled and may refuse to launch as a security precaution. If this happens, you can simply disable developer options temporarily when you need to use that specific app, then re-enable it afterward. Second, setting background processes to the minimum can delay notifications from some messaging apps. If you rely on instant notifications from a specific app, you may want to keep that one excluded from the restriction. These are real limitations, and you should know about them before making any changes. But for the vast majority of users, the trade-off is overwhelmingly worth it. Now let us talk about what these 30 seconds actually save you. The average smartphone in the United States costs between $700 and $1,200. If changing 3 animation settings and limiting background processes extends the perceived usability of your phone by even 1 year, that represents $350 to $600 saved per upgrade cycle. Over a decade, that adds up to $1,000 to $2,000 in avoided purchases from a device you already own, with settings that were already inside it that nobody told you existed. 30 seconds, $0, fully reversible, and the results are visible before you even put your phone down. This knowledge did not disappear. It was there the whole time, hidden behind 7 taps on a line of text that nobody reads. Every Android phone in the world contains this same menu. Every device sitting in every pocket on every continent has these same settings waiting to be changed. Google knows it, Samsung knows it, Xiaomi knows it, and now you know it too. If this video made a difference, subscribe and share it. Every share is one more person who stops blaming their phone and starts questioning the system that made it feel broken. The next vault opens soon, and what is inside is even heavier.